Good evening, everybody, and for the benefit of those listening on the audio, my name's James, and you're listening to my regular weekly YouTube live stream, Ask James, which is being brought to you at 8 p.m. UK time on New Year's Eve. So for those listening on the audio, it is already likely 2021, depending on where you're listening. Happy New Year. And for those on the chat in YouTube, Happy New Year's Eve to you. I wish you every success in 2021. Let's be honest, it's got to be a better fucking year than this one that's just gone, doesn't it? So, as per usual, I welcome questions on anything football related from the YouTube community in the chat. I'll go through them in order. I'll be here for the next hour or so and we'll go through them. Before I do, team news for game week 17 as it stands, and a little update, obviously, on chips for you. So, game week starts tomorrow. Deadline is 4 p.m. on Friday. I'll have a deadline stream 3 p.m. UK time for you as well. The game week starts with Everton and West Ham. For Everton, Richarlison is available to return, but James Rodriguez is not. Luca Dean has an outside chance of returning for game week 18. Allen will be out for another 3 to 4 weeks. No updates at all as yet from West Ham United. But for those who were left out the other night, i.e. Soufal, I think it's rotation and rest. Balbuena, likely rotation and rest, but I recommend having a listen to mine and Suj's discussion about Balbuena and Dawson on today's Planet FPL podcast, season 4, episode 21 that we released earlier today. Mikel Antonio was a substitute. My instinct would be I'd expect him to be a substitute again, personally. For Manchester United, Edison Cavani is banned for 3 games, but that does include the FA Cup third round and the Carabao Cup semi-final with Manchester City. So he will be available for what is now a game week 18 fixture with Burnley. Alex Telles is fit, but Luke Shaw is expected to play at left back. Victor Lindelof is unlikely to be risked for Manchester United. They host Aston Villa tomorrow night. For Villa, Tyrone Mings returns from suspension, and Ross Barkley, a little bit like every game week, may also return. Saturday begins with Tottenham versus Leeds. It'll either be 3-0 to Tottenham, 3-0 to Leeds, 0-0, 3-3, 3-2 either way. Don't ask me to predict that one. Gareth Bale is out. Lucas Moura unlikely to be available. Same applies to Carlos Vinicius. They're Brazilian. No one's suggesting there's a link, but there you go. For Leeds, Matthias Klick came off with a thigh injury against West Brom, but hasn't been ruled out as yet. No updates from Roy Hodgson on Crystal Palace. They made changes. They actually made 5, which kind of got a little bit overlooked against Leicester on Monday. I expect more changes as they try and find a winning formula. They're on a bad run at the moment, but they obviously play Sheffield United, who are winless since beating Chelsea in July. Jagielka, McBurney and Billy Sharp missed the defeat at Burnley, and they're also likely to be missing again. Just a side note on that particular game, because there's a lot of speculation at the moment about postponements, etc., COVID cases. Chris Wilder said after the game against Burnley the other night that one more positive COVID test and that game would have been postponed. So Sheffield United is the sort of one you should keep your eyes and ears open at the moment. But it looked to me they had near enough a full squad. I know he didn't name a full 9 substitutes, but the majority of their squad was available. For Brighton, Tariq Lamptey will miss out again, according to Graham Potter. Adam Lallana and Danny Welbeck will train on Friday and will be assessed. Aaron Connolly should be fit. They play Wolves. Willy Bolly and Leandro Dendoncker remain doubtful. Nuno Santo has said Adama Traore has been playing through pain. Doesn't have a single attacking return yet this season, Adama Traore. West Brom and Arsenal complete Saturday. Kieran Gibbs pulled out of the game with Leeds in the warm-up and is a doubt to face his former club. Arsenal, Mikel Arteta said he's hopeful Bukayo Saka will be fit. Thomas Partey is being monitored daily, but unlikely to be risked. David Luiz and Willian are expected back in training and could feature. For Burnley, they play Fulham on Sunday. Obviously, is another one to keep an eye on in terms of, let me predict it now. What's the chance of Burnley and Fulham going ahead on Sunday? About 75% at the moment. We've basically got no knowledge on what's happening with Fulham and their cases at the moment. No official word from Burnley on Charlie Taylor, but it's assumed he will miss out at least this weekend and likely longer. If he felt a twinge in his hamstring and complained, oh, this is a bit scary, I'm not comfortable, then he won't be ruled out. If he's done his hamstring, he's unlikely to play in January. That's literally how I would read that. For Fulham, Kene Tete was available to return to the squad pre the COVID testing failures. As for May, who have contracted virus, as I said, genuinely no idea. I've not even heard rumours or speculations on it. For Newcastle, Isaac Hayden picked up his 5th yellow card of the season against Liverpool and is therefore suspended. Jamal Lascelles is nearing a return but won't be available on Sunday. Martin Dubravka is now fit, but the former Caldalo likely means he will stay in goal. They play Leicester. Wesley Fofana's absence at Crystal Palace was precautionary and should be available. The news on James Maddison is the same as Fofana. Kagler Siunchu is available for selection as well. Chelsea play Manchester City, scheduled 4:30 p.m. UK time on Sunday. On Reese James, he missed the draw with Villa with a minor hamstring injury. Yep, no idea what that particularly means. Hakim Ziyech could return. For Manchester City, the first team training ground reopened on Wednesday. Kyle Walker and Gabriel Jesus are unlikely to return for Sunday. There were no new cases from tests on Wednesday. It is as yet unconfirmed who had received a positive COVID test on Monday. I don't really care to speculate who those names may be. Southampton and Liverpool completes the game week on Monday. No long-lasting effects for Che Adams after he was kicked in the head by Craig Dawson in the draw with West Ham. The reason he was replaced was through fatigue. It wasn't immediately after the injury. That happened in the first half where he was kicked in the head. He was replaced after about 57 minutes. So the two occurrences don't link. He was substituted purely basically to give him a rest. He was knackered. For Liverpool, Thiago Alcantara returned from the bench at Newcastle last night. The news on Joel Matip is actually positive. I'd heard that he might be out for the season. Jurgen Klopp said last night suspects he will be back in 3 weeks. That's your team news. Now, Suj and I recorded Thursday morning, bit of a detailed pause, came week 16 review, kind of recommended not using any transfers, particularly in any hurry. And we obviously didn't have the outlook of 18, 19 if things would change. And there was a lot of speculation in terms of what would happen. Of course, we upload a podcast and an hour later we get the news. Burnley and Manchester United has been confirmed will be played in blank game week 18 on the Tuesday. And Manchester City and Aston Villa will be part of double game week 19 on the Wednesday. For those 4 clubs, it now means that they all play in game week 18 and they all double in game week 19. For those who've been looking to build through without chips for this little period, it has probably got a lot easier for you. So the chances are that all those who've just suffered the pain with like treble Man City not playing and stuff, you're probably now about to walk into some covering your blank and got a double. Brilliant for you. So it goes both ways. I've had a lucky week. Now it looks like it's become a bit more difficult for me. I'm probably still going to have to free hit in game week 18 because I would still only have Harry Kane, Bruno Fernandes, and Charlie Taylor, who's probably injured anyway. So I got 2. I could use 2 free transfers to get to 4. At that point, I don't think it's worth taking hits to be getting me more. So for me, I will almost definitely still free hit in 18. It makes my bench boost in 19 almost certainly a lock now. But the team I can get is not necessarily going to be stronger than others because others can go and attack it now with the likes of Grealish, Manchester City players, which I'm going to really struggle to get to. There's a good chance I'm not going to have any Manchester City in that bench boost, for example. That's where I'm at currently. I don't know in terms of transfer what I'm doing this week. Not a joke. I've been full doing content today. I really have no idea what I'm going to be doing transfer-wise because I'd kind of, before the fixtures came out, was set in my head that I was going to roll. And even if I burnt the transfer and then free hit in 18, so be it. But I think now I've got to make a transfer. My instinct is, although I was probably going to captain Harry Kane, I may now move that to Jamie Vardy and captain Jamie Vardy instead. Another option is obviously to replace Charlie Taylor, but I can't get to Diaz or Cancelo. And I don't really want to go to John Stones yet. I'm not comfortable enough with that currently. So I don't know what I'm going to do yet. By the time I do my deadline stream on Friday afternoon, I will do that. Right, let's get into the questions for the next 45 minutes or so. Joe Finley Badder says, evening, James. Happy New Year. Not much to talk about, really. What you're watching on TV tonight? Sod all, mate. I'll be getting that Excel open and sorting out my Sky team for the next month or so. And then I'll decide what I'm doing with my FPL team. That's my evening, mate. Simple as that. FPL Cobbler says, evening, James, and Happy New Year. Thanks for all this awesome content this year. Especially one question. Dyer or Davis? Joking. I was right all along, though, wasn't I, guys? It was always Eric Dyer. which two would you pick from Antonio, Watkins, Adams, Wood? So is this start of a second wild card, which if you'd already activated, fair enough, but I wouldn't recommend that people play the second wild card because 18, 19 is so much easier to maneuver now. I would definitely be looking to save that. Which two? Probably now Ollie Watkins. To be honest, it's Watkins and Wood, isn't it? Because it just carries you through the problem. Covers you 18. All right, not great fixtures. Wood's got United. Watkins got Tottenham. And it's not a brilliant double for either in 19, but they're forwards, right? Score in any game. I think by default it's Antonio and Wood, but it depends a little bit on your strategy. Obviously, if you're free hitting in 18, you don't need to think about that sort of thing. If you're free hitting in 18, I would want to take a chance on Antonio, but I don't know if I'd have the cojones to do it. And actually, I think I'd go Ollie Watkins, even though they've got the harder fixtures in the double. I think I'd go Ollie Watkins. Bloomer Caldera, sorry, mate, says, would you like to see Norwich City back in the Premier League next season? Considering they have a lot of FPL assets like 4.5 million Cantwell, Buendia, Pookie Party. Todd Cantwell's underwhelmed this year for Norwich. I mean, Buendia's been getting a lot of attention again, and I think chance he was creating last year had got people now. There's been strong links with Arsenal for Emi Buendia. So I think he'll be playing in the Premier League or an overseas league next season, either way. Timu Pukki, not good enough at Premier League level, if you want me to be harsh about it. I think we learnt that beyond that rapid start. People began to understand what strengths and weaknesses he had. And Todd Cantwell's had a strange season because I think you would have thought he'd dominate in that league. For one reason or another, it's not happened. But yeah, like Norwich as a football club, it's always fresh. They're in a different part of the country to the majority of other teams, playing different colours to the majority of other teams. So Norwich always feels like a fresh name when it comes up. So yeah, I would have no qualms with Norwich coming back up. Tiffy Ferrero, do you expect Chelsea versus Man City, Burnley versus Fulham, Crystal Palace versus Sheffield United to go forward considering they have COVID cases? Well, at the moment, yes. So if you'd have asked me Wednesday morning, I would have said there's no chance of Chelsea Man City happening this weekend. And when Tottenham got postponed, I'd have said Burnley Fulham probably an issue as well. The Burnley Fulham one is probably now actually the biggest issue because we don't know. We literally just don't know what the issue is at Fulham at all in terms of who's got it, who hasn't, how many positive tests. We've got no information as far as I'm aware. So that's the dodgy one. But I suspect that the two games were postponed because of fear. The fear that the understanding of the test results was so close to the games, and it was a little bit of an anomaly because teams were playing within 2-3 days, etc., etc. Whereas I think for both clubs, that City getting the training ground reopened is a really good sign that they'll play Chelsea on Sunday. It's not like Newcastle had the training ground closed for like 9-10 days, and they still ended up playing West Brom the week after their Villa game was postponed. So that makes me think now that Chelsea City will go ahead. Burnley Fulham 75%. And Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, you'd have to be about 90% that it will go ahead. But we're in a situation now, guys, where any game could drop at a click of fingers and just go. So, early transfers, wait. Admittedly, for those listening on the audio especially, you're probably only going to be, 5-6 hours till deadline or something by the time, depends when you listen. But, don't make transfers tonight. Wait, I'll be making a transfer tomorrow about 2:00 in the afternoon. There's no rush. Value really should not be coming into your thinking at the moment. What should be coming into your thinking is, are my players going to play? Damien Rosowski, would you like to see Norwich City back in? I've just asked. That's weird. We've got Bloomer and Damien have asked the same question. As you are. Got two accounts, mate. Savanch says, Happy New Year, mate. Happy New Year to you and to all those on the stream and on the audio. Alfredo says, who's your opponent for first round at FPL Cup? Is it a dead team? Alfredo, I wouldn't have a clue, mate. I haven't looked and I couldn't care less. What's the point? Next week, I might be coming up with the team who's got the perfect free hit in game week 18, and I might end up carrying through for whatever reason. That's unlikely now. Or against 19, I might be coming up against the perfect bench boost team or something. It's just not worth worrying about it. Seriously. Who won it last year? Exactly. No one knows. They don't even care themselves. They had 10 coin tosses at the end, didn't they? I have no idea. I have no idea, Alfredo. I might have a look at the name, see if I recognise it. The chance of me recognising the name from 7 million players is pretty small. Neil Thompson, evening. With the news of the added fixtures, I'm going to persevere with no free hit or bench boost through 18 and 19. I think I've finally got some luck after the disaster that was last week. Happy New Year. Rosen Fleur, should Wolves sign Diego Costa, free agent, as a short-term replacement for Raul Jimenez? That's a great shout, Roseanne. That's a transfer I can see happening. I'd heard that quite strongly rumoured a couple of days ago, and it just fits the narrative at the moment. Costa's not a long-term signing for anybody at the moment. Wolves need, he's got similar characteristics to Raul Jimenez, right? It works. I'm sure he speaks Portuguese as well, which is obviously a first-class requirement if you're signing for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Yeah, I can see that. I think that transfer works for all parties, and I wouldn't be surprised if that happens. Savant says, your thoughts on how to move forward? Was planning on free hit 18 and bench boost 19. Used first wildcard game week 5. You can still do that. Of course you can. To be honest, there isn't a right answer for this now because it totally depends what shape you're in for 18. So ideally, if I'd have landed in a better position, I wouldn't be using a free hit in 18 now. But the way it's landed for me, I've got no team. Admittedly, look, I could go Bruno Fernandes captain, Harry Kane vice, and I might get 40 points. And I might use free hit team, and it might still only get 40 points. Don't get me wrong. But I think, look, 2 players, I think I should probably use the free hit chip. And it's more attractive now in the extent. One of the things that was putting other people off was like, oh, I hate the games. Well, now it's treble City, treble United, and fill in the gaps, isn't it? That's the thinking now, I think, for most of us. So the actual being able to get a great team in 18 is more alluring, I would say. The likes of Edison Cavani, is a good chance he starts that game, right? What a player to get in for a one game away to Burnley, potentially. And that's already partly in my fault. It really depends on the way you've landed. I think, generally speaking, if you're in a position now you can get to 7 or a very good 6 in game week 18, I wouldn't bother using the chip, personally. Particularly if a lot of them guys are going to double for you in 19 as well. I wouldn't bother using it. But it's really important. So, how many players should you have who have got double game weeks for a bench boost, James? It depends who the players are. So someone sent me a team today in my DMs. Happens a lot. 13 double game week players. And I said to them, no. You've got Max Kilman and Anthony Gordon. So that's physically going to be part of your bench boost. And between the two of them, they might get you 0. So it really depends who the players are. That's what's important in your own personal circumstances. A-Web says, hi, James, what to do with Charlie Taylor? It's a difficult one. You would have to assume that he will be out beyond game week 19. You would have to assume that. However, obviously, if he's not and you sell him, you feel like you've wasted the transfer. I get that. I think for me, it's probably a sell, but it actually, ironically, it might not be sell till 19 itself. I think he was always going to be the luxury one. If I had a transfer to get rid, I was going to anyway. So he'll either go now or he'll likely go in 19. I think for most people, the answer will be sell. What No Graphic says, goodbye 2020. Don't hit your ass on the way out the door. All the best, James, for 2021. Question, would you ditch Kane and Dominic Calvert-Lewin to free up funds for game week 19? Depends, because there's open questions of what the answers on that are. What are you opening up to, for example? How much money have you already got in the bank? I might be moving Kane to Vardy this week now as part of that, because I feel, to be honest, I think they're probably the 2 best captaincies this game week. And so it's very close between the 2 of them anyway. And I'd look at it and go, if I don't do it now, because of Charlie Taylor and that, and I've got no Man City, it might become very quickly a -8 to be removing him. And do I want to remove Harry Kane from -8 against Sheffield United? Whereas I could take the chance to do it for free now. And obviously Leicester have a good fixture as well. I think Jamie Vardy's a great captaincy option this week. So that might be what I do. You could do similar with that. Obviously, of course, Kane and DCL, you can go down to the likes of Wood, Watkins now will obviously cover you for both game weeks. And then, yeah, you can probably turn a Grealish into a De Bruyne or something like that, whatever you want to do with it. So, again, personal circumstances. Calvert-Lewin, I would definitely be looking to move on, I think, considering there's now a number of forwards who've got doubles. Brad said, what's the difference between form and recency bias? That's a good question. I'm probably not the best equipped to be able to answer that because I'm not the best for analytics and stuff. Recency bias, I always kind of judge as what's fresh in your mind. So I described a scenario. There was a game week a couple of weeks ago where I think it was when Salah got a good return against Wolves, where it felt like in a row, everyone was doing well, and then the next one did better, the next one did better, the next one, and then it finished with Salah and he got the most. And so I think that's the recency bias of the last thing you remembered from that game week was that actually at the end of the day, they all did quite well, but Mohamed Salah still did best. That's kind of the recency bias. Whereas form, you're judging it over a longer period. Now, how long you judge form over is, I think it's up to every individual and how they feel with it. What's form? Is that for an attacker? You've returned in 2 games in a row. You might say that's form. Form for me generally would be a longer period, 5 to 6 games, but then you want to catch that form. By the time you got to game week 5th or 6th game, it's a good chance you've missed the form. So I think that would be how I would describe the difference. Form is over a sustained period. Recency bias for me is kind of what sticks in your mind most recently, and you kind of forget the things that weren't that long ago but were further away. Heiku says, suggest me a replacement for Jamal Lewis, who has potential of a clean sheet in this week's fixtures. Eric Peters of Burnley. TJ Dara says, hey, James, would you take out Adams for Antonio this week for a -4? To answer that first, no. As I said earlier on the stream, I don't think Antonio even starts. And also, it wouldn't come as a major shot if Che Adams is left out, but there is 6 days between Che Adams getting taken off early against West Ham to playing Liverpool. And then they don't play in the league for another 12 days after that. So I'm not overly sure really why Che Adams would particularly be rested when he... To be honest, Southampton treat the cuts fairly seriously. I can't remember who they've got in the 3rd round. They'll probably pick a semi-strong team, but if there's someone needs a rest, then they'll get rested, right? So I'm not kind of buying into the whole Che Adams will get rested against Liverpool personally, so I definitely would not. TJ Dora also says, DCL is off game week 19, but needs someone until 26 around his price or lower. Any suggestion? Well, you're saying till 26, so is the intention to use a second wildcard in 25 or 26, for example? I think the obvious one's probably Patrick Bamford. I would have thought it cheaper, but there's a good chance you already have him. I think that would be number 1 choice. West Ham, I think you need to see Antonio fit and in the team, but that's always a good go-to, Mikel Antonio. And Ollie Watkins is just decent at his value. So is Che Adams. All right, they've had a few games, hasn't scored. Che Adams has been good value this year. Any of them, absolutely reasonable. Burnley, obviously decent immediate for the blank and the double as well. Not so great afterwards from fixtures. So from that perspective, I would rule Chris Wood out of that. But any of them are reasonable. If you haven't got Bamford, that would probably be the first choice. Danny McDonald says, is wildcard in game week 18 worth it to stuck up on City and United assets to help navigate 18-19 and their favourable fixture runs? That's an interesting concept. I think what you'll end up doing with that, Danny, is you will end up going treble City, treble United, treble Villa. And because you do that, you'll probably find the rest that you end up going with is shit. And you'll find it difficult to then maneuver to other things you might want, such as Liverpool, Chelsea. I just think if you wildcard in 18, to cover 18 as well, you're naturally going to go so heavy on United, Villa, City, which you can do, by the way. It's just a case you're happy having long-term treble up. City's great. You're going to keep the treble up. United's not too bad. Villa's fixtures, okay. So you could do it. I just think you'll probably leave the rest of your squad shit because I think with United, you have to go for the top boys. With City, I think that you could go, for example, De Bruyne, Diaz, Stones, or Cancelo, and it's not too expensive. With United, I think you go Fernandes, Rashford, oh fuck already. And then if you still want to keep hold of, say, Mohamed Salah for his double, now you're struggling. You've got Rashford, Fernandes, De Bruyne, Salah. How's it going to work? Oh, right, I want Jack Grealish to cover both weeks as well. Okay, now I have no money. So it's going to be difficult. So no, wouldn't recommend that. I don't mind it as a theory, Danny, but I can't be recommending that, I don't think. Christian prefer. Do you believe in miracles? If yes, then expect Sheffield United to hit form and avoid relegation. Christian, I've been maintaining all season long that they can still get out of it if they start picking up results. What we just gone now, game week 16. Before game week 14, I said they had to win 3 of the 5 games that they had over this period. They have picked up 0 points from the first 3 of those 5. I would be genuinely, unfortunately for Blades fans, I would be astonished now if they can turn that around. They would probably have to win the next 3 to give themselves a chance again. And then following that, oh, great, I've got Man United away and Man City away. Shit gets easier, doesn't it? I can't see it now. Don't keep clean sheets. They haven't kept a clean sheet since that win over Chelsea in July. And don't score goals. You're fucked. You're fucked. I can't see him getting out of it. Seth Ryan, Happy New Year, mate. Do we need Man City for game week 19 now? If so, which ones? I'm leaning towards Sterling for no good reason. Then it's probably not a good reason. The thing is with City, I don't think you can really have the hopes or expectations of who plays twice till you get there. Now, you could say Kevin De Bruyne probably plays 18 and both games in 19. I'd say, yep, great, cool. Raheem Sterling, all 3? Diaz, yeah, probably. Edison, yeah. Obviously, if these guys haven't got COVID, by the way. Anyone else would probably be a doubt, wouldn't it? At the moment, that's why I don't think I can go say John Stones this week, for example. Just think I might effectively be wasting a transfer there if he's out of the team. That said, he's one I'd think, even if I had him for 1 game in the double, I'd think that's okay because I've still got a strong chance of 1 clean sheet because it's City at home. And then they've got great fixtures afterwards. So I wouldn't rule out that. I'd prefer to go to Diaz and I can't do it. My thinking is more maybe even if I just drop down Kane to Vardy 3 this week, then in 19 I can go with Taylor to Diaz. In terms of needing it, we can't have everybody. This time 24 hours ago, I think a lot of people were convinced, I'm triple captaining Mo Salah in game week 19. So I'd ask them people how much do they need a Man City player. If you're sitting there with Salah, Fernandes, and probably now a Kane or Son, which then is going to open up the door to move it on to a Man City player. But if you haven't, I don't see how you even... It's difficult to maneuver and get them in. There's not an easy answer to that. Can you go without? No one in this game is essential. What you've now got is City, United, Liverpool, Leicester, Chelsea, all doubling. You got Tottenham's got a good fixture. Arsenal's got a good fixture. So that's all the big hitters in now in terms of looking good for 19. So remember when we go back a couple of weeks ago and we couldn't promise that 19 was going to be the biggest week. I think you find it is. You cannot fit in all the players. I'm probably going with no Chelsea, for example. And there's a good chance. I think I will have 1 City, but it's looking highly likely I won't be able to get to Kevin De Bruyne. I don't want to sacrifice Fernandes or Salah for that particular game week at the moment. Now, if one of them gets injured, boom, De Bruyne's in. There's no second thought about it. But can you go without? Yeah. And this is where we talk about advantages. So all those who've had sort of Diaz, De Bruyne and Sterling and just had a really bad and difficult game week, wow, has it just landed back in your lap? And we suggested on the podcast this morning that something like that might happen where suddenly it flips and you've had the bad luck and now it could run your way, vice versa. But everybody's circumstance is going to be individual and unique. Seth Ryan says, Happy New Year, mate. Do we need that's the one we've just done. Apologies. Javier Alcantara. Hi, James. I wish you good luck for the first round of the FPL Cup. Are there any players in your opponent's team that worry you? No, my earlier answer will solve that one for Javier. I don't know. I've got and I don't care. Neil Thompson, just like to say thank you for all the streams and videos that you and Such provide. Roll on 2021. Thank you very much, Neil. And it goes for everybody as well, just while we're on it. Thanks for everybody for the support this year as well. Genuinely humbling some of the comments we get and stuff. So we're very grateful. Thank you. Jovial says, should I bench Ruben Diaz or Reese James? If I was to work on the philosophy that both were fully fit, I'd be very tempted to play Reese James. We'll work on the philosophy at the moment that I think there's a strong enough opinion that Reese James probably won't play and therefore it doesn't really matter. And therefore, I'd probably just pick Ruben Diaz personally. Mark FLR, Happy New Year, James. Curious on your thoughts of someone's asked how the Spurs Leeds game will play out. Can't see Mourinho setting up for the game to be a 3-3 slugging match. Some seem to be predicting. I think it depends. if Leeds score first, it could be crazy. Genuinely, could be crazy. It could be wild. What will kill the game? If Tottenham score first, then I think you'll know what kind of game you're going to see now. If Leeds score first, the thing is, it's not like Leeds would then retreat and let Tottenham have a lot. Leeds just keep playing the same way, don't give a shit. So to be honest, I obviously don't want to be in that position, but I'd be interested to see how it played out. I think there'll be goals. I think there's a strong possibility it will finish like 3-2 or something. Honestly, I actually do. Yeah, I think just because of Leeds, I think it could be mad actually. Joe Finibada, who would you rather have in Sky, Kane or Vardy? Doing Bruno to Kane on Saturday, but need to now go back to Bruno for the Burnley game. We'll have to sacrifice one of them. Well, my solution for that, Joe, is I'm going to captain Patrick Bamford on Saturday. That's the Sky question, obviously, for those who like watch James. And go without. I can't be doing the 2 free transfers for one game when I've just said Spurs Leeds. I actually think there'd be goals and it could be like 3-2 either way. So that's my solution, is just be captain Patrick Bamford on Saturday. I don't think that's worth that, Joe. And I think you should potentially look at alternative ways around that. You can't cover them all the time. And on the Patreon pod we did for you earlier, even before we knew these fixtures, we stressed the concern about the possibility of selling Bruno Fernandes in Sky, and even more so now. I don't think that's a good idea, to be honest, Joe. In terms of which one would I prefer, Vardy's probably going to give you more options down the line. But if you're going to go back, what does it matter? What does it matter? Callum says, should Tottenham sign Ben White in January before he's snatched away by Liverpool? Question. Also signing Reese Bissouma as a holding midfielder in June? Question. Why are you trying to sell me Brighton players? I like both players, although I said this on the main pod the other day. I think Ben White has underwhelmed. I very much had a strong eye on him because everybody at Leeds had raved about him so much. And I think he's only stood out because we've been expecting him to stand out. I think he's not been great. He doesn't stand out at the moment as any better than Webster, for example, at Brighton. And I'm sure he will do. He's obviously capable of playing in multiple positions, although right wing back should never be one of them, judging by the West Ham game and what I saw there. But good potential signing. Yeah, of course. If he came to Tottenham, would he get in the team at the moment? There's a lot of people going, yeah, probably. Yeah, he probably would get in ahead of Toby Alderweireld at the moment. But to be honest, Liverpool, I see Liverpool bought a 16-year-old centre half today. It's laughable. They need to get someone in through the door very quickly, as I said earlier today. Bissouma I like. I think he's got a lot of similarities with Højbjerg. So I don't know if that works as a partnership, actually. But I do very much like Bissouma as a player. I do like him. It would certainly improve the squad. And to be honest, he probably would play alongside Højbjerg. I just think there's certain things they do where they can be a bit samey if they're in a double pivot. It's just a personal opinion. Bevan Rosario, Happy New Year. Thoughts on Son versus Rashford? Also, is Tottenham v Fulham being moved to double game week 19 a possibility? I'm glad you asked that question, Bevan, because I will cover that on the double game week 19 possibility. So thoughts on Son versus Rashford? It kind of depends on strategy. I can't really advise you to go Son over Rashford at the moment. If that's a captaincy question for this game week, then I will say to you, Heung-min Son. If you're buying now, as long as you're happy to do a bit of future plan and know that you might get beat this weekend, I would go for Rashford personally. Double game week 19 is not a possibility for Tottenham at the moment. For that to be a possibility, there would have to be more fixture changes. And the reason, quite simply, Tottenham can't play Fulham in double game week 19 is because Fulham are playing Manchester United. So it's not possible. And you could say, oh, Tottenham could play Fulham in game week 18, and then you can move Villa and Tottenham to game week 19. We can't do that because Villa are now playing Man City in game week 19. And if they'd arranged City and Everton that period, it could have still been a possibility. But the way they've scheduled it, it just cuts it off. There is no reason now to expect that 18 and 19 will change for any reason other than postponements. That now should be a locked schedule, genuinely. Tifi Ferreira says, how much do you rate your chance of winning? We've done that. Would no one care? Do we really care about the cup, guys? Clayton says, Happy New Year, James. Love the concept for you and Sush's party. Appreciate that. Awab says, which City midfielder to get, KDB or Raz? Thanks, mate. I'd be KDB for me. Fairly straightforward. Bloomer Caldera says, good luck for the cup. Cheers. I appreciate it. If you win this round's match, then surely you win in the second round because you'll be free hitting. Your thoughts? And then I might be bench boosting game week 19. I might win 3 games in a row, and then I'll still only have to beat, let me think about it, 500,000 other people still over remaining 19 game weeks or something. You're all right, guys. I'm really just not that bothered about it. Sujan Shah is in the chat. It says, James, you're a living legend. Oh, God. Suj has already been on the source this New Year's Eve. FPL Jovial, did Suj qualify for the cup? He had a great game week. Got 60, I think. I got 59. I still couldn't beat him this week. If yes, then he is facing the dead team. And how do you rate his chance of winning his first round match? Awful. I don't think he knows who's got in the cup either. Thank you, Pepsi, for your New Year's wishes. FPL Hescopo just popping in to say Happy New Year and thanks. Appreciate that, my friend. FPL Platypus says, evening, James. Do you think Burnley versus Fulham goes ahead this weekend? Deciding whether to burn a transfer or downgrade Pope to have some extra cash after free hit. My advice would be, if you're in that sort of situation, don't buy a Burnley or Fulham player. Genuinely, if you're concerned about it, I think we've got to work on the assumption it's on, right? Literally, very suddenly, Southampton and Liverpool could be off on Monday, right? With no sign whatsoever. So I think, okay, look, it's been a bad week for everyone. Now we've got to play with what we've got. I think until we hear news from Fulham, we have to assume that the game is on. If you're concerned about it, quite simply do not buy a Burnley player. Norman Conquest says Happy New Year. Donna Boyle, Happy New Year, James. Thanks for your content support. Thank you, Donna. Jake Cow saying Happy New Year. TAA to Cancelo. I mean, that sort of transfer would open some doors for me, wouldn't it? I don't like it from a rotation perspective at the moment. I think it's the sort of one that might be a luxury move for me in 19. Liverpool have won 2 away Premier League games this season, which is concerning. First blank in the Premier League this season last night. But still another 6 points from Trent, right? And 9 points from Robertson. And yes, it's Southampton away next. Southampton haven't scored in 3.5 games. And in the double, they have 2 home games. My intention when going Trent and Robertson on the wildcard again at the weekend just gone was to thinking that I'll remove one after game week 19. And I think that's still my likely route, is then to go down, add another City in game week 20, and then I can probably make manoeuvres to get a third quite quickly. That's probably my thinking at the moment. Do I think that's probably worth hits in 19? No. If you want it for a hit now, I don't mind it. The concern is we don't know which City players are out at the moment, and I don't think we're going to know before deadline. So, look, they've got Chelsea away this week. I would ask, is that a transfer that you could make in game week 18 if you're going down that route, or in game week 19 if you're free hitting 18? I don't think it's a move for this game week. Thank you to Reese. Thank you, Gary Robinson. Chris Wood says, hi, James. Thanks for everything you've done for community this year. Thank you very much. How are you spending your free transfer this game week? I honestly don't know, Chris. I kind of as covered. Could be Kane Vardy. Could be something like Taylor to even a Balbuena or something. I genuinely, I'm not taking a piss. I haven't had time to look yet today. I've been editing the pods page. I've done the team news article I've been writing up for them. I've done a summary of last game week for them as well. So I've genuinely not had time to look yet. My instinct is I may well go Kane to Vardy. And at the moment, I've got the captaincy bust on Kane. But I think they're probably the 2 best choices this game week. Ash says, best budget striker for the double game week, Watkins, Wood, or another. Already have 3 West Ham and Leeds. I probably Watkins. Probably Watkins just over Adams for me. I'm going to guess one of your 3 leads is Bamford, Ash. You obviously wouldn't be able to get another one anyway. I think Watkins of those. Z21293 says, evening, James. Happy New Year to you and Serge. Thank you very much. For everybody wishing a Happy New Year, thank you very much. I'm going to skip the comments because it'd be a bit shit for the audio, guys, but I really appreciate the comments. Pepsi says, do you think you will win Sky FF? No, don't misunderstand my confidence in Sky. Robertson's clean sheet last night did me really well, so it took me up to 81st. Do I think I'll win it? No. Can I win it? Yes. Yes, I can win it. It's the knowing that I can win it and believing that that's possible. Do I think I'll win it? No, I'm not one of these who starts dreaming what I'm going to do with the money. She'd take it all off me anyway, so there's no point doing that. Can I win it? Yes. Do I think I'll win it? No. But I'll be honest, that is the target. The only target in that game for me is first. Anil says, sell Salah for Son captain, as don't want to sell KDB as planned. The only thing I'd say to that, Anil, is it's reasonable if that's what you want. Do you want to sell Mo Salah? That's the only thing I'd say to that. Like I said, everybody 24 hours ago is saying that's the best possible triple captain option in game week 19. And now we're talking about maybe selling him because KDB's got one game in the middle. In fact, he always had the game in the middle, but now he's got a second game in the same week where Salah was the best choice. It's interesting, isn't it? And again, I realise it's personal circumstance for everybody. I wouldn't be keen on that though. If you're looking to run through and not use chips, I'd just stick the armband on Salah this week, which is absolutely reasonable, by the way, and see where you stand afterwards. That's what I'd be thinking. Salah hasn't got a double in 19 either anyway. So, battery's in. That's a problem. You're going to have to stay there for a sec, guys. Sorry. It's going to fuck things up, isn't it? In my massive studio. It's New Year's Eve. We're having a party anyway. It was definitely better I did that than let the battery die on the laptop. Justine Jazz Hutchins, I can get 8 players for game week 18 with a hit with 15 double game week 19 players. Is it good to hold free hit for later half a season? Yeah, if you can do that, that's fairly straightforward. If you can get to 8, I think, yeah, hold it. Even a shit 8. As long as they're all playing 8, I think, yeah, great. No probs. Crack on. Leave it. Lamichi says, thoughts on Martial, worth moving TAA to a City defender in order to get KDB for Son? Again, can you hold these moves off rather than doing them this week? Just give that a second thought. Matthew Hogman says, Sky question. Thoughts on moving Kane to Vardy on Sunday? Yeah, don't mind that so much. As long as you've got, Matthew, the cover of the other guys you're going to want, which is Bruno. You still need Salah Monday night, and you'll want him when they play Burnley on the Thursday, 10 days later or whenever it is. Yeah, that's fine. Kane to Vardy Sunday's fine. As long as you've got that Wednesday covered as well. So if you've got the City coverage when City play Brighton and Tottenham play Villa, then you'll have the cover when Tottenham play Sheffield United as well for City players. So, yeah, I think that's fine, Matthew. And Such says, for all those wishing us a happy new year, thanks and a happy new year to you and yours too. Much love. There you go. That's the boss himself speaking. Stian Bosdale says, kind FPL, but not fully. Seeing how this season has been, any thoughts on how Premier League will fare next season with the World Cup being played in the flipping winter in Qatar? And happy new year, Mr. FPL. Cheers. Not a clue. Listen, to be honest, this time 2 days ago, I thought the season was going to get suspended. So I can't really get my head entrapped into what's going to happen in. I mean, it's less than 2 years away now. Qatar World Cup. It's a fair question. I don't think we can predict right now in terms of impacts or. It's so far away, mate. It's a good question, but I just can't get in the headspace to answer it at the moment, I'm afraid. James Hurd says, Happy New Year from a very hungover New Year's morning down under. Have a good one. Thank you, James. Paddy Parr says, good day for the FPL wingmen. Perlo's pen. Can't believe I'm going into the year with COVID, but that's where we are. Thoughts on Ollie Watkins. Help me upgrade Brewster for my bench boost. More importantly, my friends, stay safe. And that goes to anybody who's obviously suffering or you've got loved ones who's suffering at the moment. Stay safe. It's nasty out there. Health is the most important thing. Look after each other. Make sure you're checking. You know what? New Year's Eve, check in on people you ain't spoke to for a while if that's what you want to do. No one checks in on me, but I've got all you lots. So it doesn't matter. I'm going to get DMs now. I'm fine, guys. Watkins. Yeah. Watkins is a good choice over Brewster, my friend. David Coles, any plans to get City Villa players for the double game week? No, I don't know what I'm doing this game week yet. If anybody's joining and thinks I'm shady about, I'm not. My team will be on the screen when I do my stream tomorrow. I just generally don't know yet. Villa are probably not going to be able to get to because I think City's the priority if I can work it around. Was I desperate to keep Jack Grealish when they had a single of Everton? No. Should I feel desperate to have him now he's got City away as part of the double? No. I think that should apply for a lot of Villa players. Although I think in the case of, say, Watkins, I feel like that's a better choice now than, say, Chris Wood, for sure, in my opinion. So priority is probably going to be City for me. It means Villa's probably a no-no. Kind of wish I'd held on to Emi Martinez now, I would say. But there you go. You can't predict that these things are going to happen. David Coles, that's one we've just done. Paul Sweeney, best Taylor replacement. I have Robertson and Dallas, 1.9 million in the bank. Thanks for great streams. Very welcome, Paul. Diaz. But if you're planning to run through and not using chips, I would just generally try and roll it as long as you've got a team this week. Get the information of who has and who hasn't got COVID from Manchester City. There's no suggestion that Ruben Diaz does have it. That's probably the right transfer. Jonathan says, thanks, James, for advising me to transfer in Zaha instead of Sigurdsson. Oh, got something right for a change, should I? Qualified with 51 points for the FPL Cup, despite 6 players of 15 not playing. Good job I got that Zaha choice for you, right for you then, isn't it? Gary Robinson says, if you hadn't planned for City in game week 19 and don't have any routes to any now, would you take hits to get City in or just ride it out? So I think for 19, Gary, as I said, it's probably a ride it out. Your team, United's playing, Liverpool's playing, Chelsea's playing, Leicester's playing. You ain't going to cover all the bases there. No chance. So it's probably a ride it out, but they are priority anyway because of obviously the fixtures they have. West Brom 20, Sheffield United 21, Burnley 22. They're obviously the priority. I could go Taylor to Stones this week, and I'm not saying that I won't, but I know there's the COVID risk in that is 1. And 2, by the time I get to the double, is John Stones still in the team? Now, one thing Gary probably says to me, we've taken that risk in Sky, James. Why wouldn't you in FPL? Well, that's because, Gary, in Sky, I know that if I'm wrong, I can go to back to Gabriel on that Thursday when they play Crystal Palace. In FPL, that's different. I'm stuck. That might be what I still do, is take a chance on John Stones. I can't get to Diaz yet. And I think from there, if I then went Kane to Vardy in 19, I would then maybe consider taking a -4 for another one. It all depends where I land. I think if I went with a fully fit squad and didn't have any injuries, then there's a chance I wouldn't bother, but they'd be strong priority. I'd kind of earmarked in my mind Salah to Kevin De Bruyne in game week 20 already. That was already part of my thinking. And then once you've got that extra million in the bank, that should then allow you from a 4.7 up to Diaz. So I'm now kind of thinking to bring them forward. So if I haven't got in 19, I've still got the objectives and the plan of what I'm doing in 20 to then get them. Harbour Boy says, Notorious Nerd says, Mahrez keep or sell. Yikes. It's probably keep at the moment, and you just stomach it. You stomach it the same as you'd stomach it any other week. He either plays or he doesn't play. When he plays, he might go off for you. You're probably in keep mode at the moment. Harbour West says, hi, James. Sorry if this has been covered already, but what about Burnley players worth looking at for the 3 games in 2 weeks period? So, yeah, kind of I've just covered. There's a risk to it. If you get clarity on Charlie Taylor, Peters is a great shout. It's 4.3 million defensively. It's gold, really, if you're carrying through and not using the chips. I think for those with 19 and looking to free hit in 18, it's obviously less of a desperation to do something. They've not got the best double in 19 anyway, because in Liverpool away is one of them fixtures. I think Peters would be the best shout. If you're on Chris Wood, it's very reasonable, but I don't think I'd buy him now, to be honest. Unless you need someone at that value who's going to cover you for it to really anticipate your scores against Manchester United. That's what you're making the transfer for, basically. Will he score against Manchester United? Just give that a second thought. United have a great record, I think, generally away to Burnley. I know they lost there 10 years ago. Robbie Blake scored. Game week 2, I want to say. Gary Robinson's in the chat, said test me. That would be 2009. And I'm pretty sure that I'm right about that. But I think actually since they came up the last time, I'm pretty sure United have got a very good record at Turf Moor as well. I don't think it's been a problem fixture for them. Harbour Boy says, sunny New Year's morning here in New Zealand, 2021, looking good already. So for those on the stream already celebrating New Year's Day and 2021 already, happy New Year's Day to yourselves. Optimus Prime says, I have 10 players. Optimus, by the way, I thought you weren't playing Champ Man anymore. Meant to ask you about that. If I have 10 players at game week 18, he's better use free hit at game week at 19. I'll probably make bench boost at 19. Do you need to do anything in 19? Is it reasonable? My thoughts at the moment, let's say I walk into 3 or 4 injuries between now and game week 19 starting, and I've used a free hit in 19. My fallback solution is I'm not going to bench boost. I'll go with the 11 or 12 guys I've got, and I just won't pull the bench boost. And it might be that I decide to triple captain, although I think that's unlikely. Personally, on triple captain, I think there are a lot of good options to come. I mean, if Tottenham get to the Carabao Cup final, both of their fixtures against Fulham need rearranging. And I dropped in on a Patreon pod this morning the possibility of Tottenham having a treble game week 37 and playing Fulham twice in game week 37. So I don't think any of the games in game week 19 are obvious enough to make me want to triple captain. Personally, if you ask me, I think, to be honest, Kevin De Bruyne is probably the best captaincy option in that game week now with the changes. But Mo Salah's got 2 home games. I mean, it's not bad, is it? We suddenly, Bruno Fernandes got 2 away games. It's better than home games. He always returns in away games, and one of them's Fulham. But I don't feel I feel triple captain, for me, I'd want distinct clarity to know. Like I knew with Mane last year before it blew up in my face. Yeah, that's the one. I'm doing it. Let's go. And I'm not sure that game week 19 offers that, personally, when I think there might be better opportunities to come down the line, like that City-Everton game's got to go somewhere. Tottenham-Fulham's got to go somewhere. And as I said, Tottenham beat Brentford next Tuesday. There's 2 Tottenham-Fulham games have got to go somewhere. So there's a good chance that Harry Kane's going to have a great possibility at some point. So I don't think it's clear yet in my mind to use a triple captaincy, personally. Rajan says, should I keep Diaz and KDB? Well, it completely depends on your strategy, Rajan, but I guess the advice is yes. Why wouldn't you? Chris Wood says, do you think I should downgrade Pope to Fabianski this game week or game week 19? 1 free transfer to Burn. What have West Ham got this week? Everton away. Pope's got Fulham at home. Are you sure you can't run through 18, Chris, without playing a chip? Just give that a second thought. Obviously, can't see your team or anything, but I'm not overly keen on the transfer. I mean, look, Fabianski has a better double game week 19 than Pope on paper and better fixtures afterwards. Burnley have Villa, Chelsea, Man City as their 3 after game week 19. But Nick Pope's Nick Pope, right? And Burnley get clean sheets when you least expect it. If you're in a blessed position that you can make that as a free transfer, Chris, I don't hate it, but I'm guessing you just don't want to lose it because you're going to free hit in 18, I think. In which case, if it makes you feel better, I'd play it. Pete Haley says, hi, James. Happy New Year. Just a quick one. Was thinking of triple caps in 19, but not sure now. Do you think there are better options than Salah down the line? I was ready for you, Pete. I didn't see that question coming. Matazim, sorry if I've mispronounced that. Good evening, James. Who'd you start this week between Souček and Adams? It'd be Che Adams for me. Guys who come on my deadline stream will know I'm always going to pick the forward. And that I'll be playing Che Adams. And that's in spite of the fact I've got Trent and Robbo. FPL family in, saying evening all, happy new year all, and massive thanks to Planet Airfield for the great content this year. Thank you very much to yourselves, Lee and Sam. Love you guys. Have a good night. Love to the kids. Hope you're well. Let's have a beer soon, hopefully. Sean Murphy saying Happy New Year. Benjamin Miller. Hello, Ben. James, don't have time to stay on. Thanks so much for all your efforts. I said I wouldn't read these New Year ones anymore, but I guess everyone's in a good mood. I'm very grateful, guys. Thank you. Thank you, Ben. Thank you, Karen Yadif, who says, with the fixture changes, do you think free hit can be saved and maneuver 18-19 with just the bench boost? Absolutely, but it depends what's in your team, mate. These questions are almost impossible to answer, but yes, of course you can. I can't. I can get to 4 players in game week 18 and probably make my 19 bench boost worse in the process of doing it. So for me, at the moment, I've got 2 players right now who are playing in game week 18. I'd probably be more likely. I did discuss this as an option that I discussed it with Suj on one of the podcasts. I can't remember. I think it was the Sky podcast, maybe. I can't remember. Was discussing that if Man City and Brighton was off before United and Burnley was put in that week, that I would probably just captain Harry Kane and have one player and leave it because the rest are just not bothered about. Now City and United's there, I think it's well worth getting the proper coverage for. But it depends on your circumstance, Karen. Z21293 been quite a whirlwind for someone who was just wildcarded last week. Yeah, that'd be me. Prioritise Mane to Son for captain, have Salah, or Taylor out for another double game week player. Plan is still free hit 18, bench boost 19. Then I wouldn't be moving Mane to Son. I think you'll be in a rare position where having Mane with Salah will be an amazing differential for you. It also possibly holds the value. I'm going to guess you don't have Kevin De Bruyne at the moment, and holding Mane there, if you decide come 19, shit, I want De Bruyne, that's a very straightforward transfer and you can still keep Mohamed Salah. So I would look to move the other one. I think we have to assume that Charlie Taylor is not going to be ready for game week 19. But I am no Ben Dinnery, and that's the man's timeline you should all be following for news, guys. Stephen Hamilton, evening, James. Kane to Vardy this week, free hit 18, then -4. Son to Sterling, Zuma to Stones. What do you think? I think it sounds very reasonable, Stephen. And anything I'd say will probably fuck up your plan, mate. So that sounds fine. Mabentom, hi James, would you say free hit if you have 7 starters in game week 18? I potentially would, and the reason I think that's borderline is I think to get from 26 to 29 and have a good team on free transfers alone, if it worked out properly, I'd be looking at going, I've got 11 doublers for 26, ideal situation, 4 on the bench who I would then have in 29. 3 more free transfers would get me to 7 players in game week 29, and that would be the target. So I think 7, yeah, reasonable. As long as you're a decent 7, that's always the caveat. If you're sitting there with Gordon and Bernardo and Kilman, then your 7 players is no good to you. Jerry B 93G, evening mate, would 8 players for game week 18 be worth playing or free hitting? Similar answers, my friend. Harbour Boy, another one. Why do you think Liverpool haven't been able to break down some defences that well recently? See, the thing is, last night, and I thought Newcastle did quite well last night, having watched the game back later in the evening. This was on the Champ Man stream covering. FPO Irons, if you're listening, I hope you're well. Newcastle did all right, but Liverpool didn't create hosts and chances. But Salah's had 2 one-on-ones in the game, basically. And if he scores them both and Liverpool win 2-0, no one says diddly. So Liverpool didn't break down Newcastle. They didn't put a ball in the net. Mane scrambled off the line where the goalkeeper's half pulled his leg. I'm not saying it was a penalty, but I think Salah would have gone down, right? Let's be honest about it. He would have gone down. Mane's trying to score. And no one's going to praise Mane for trying to stay on his feet and try and get the ball. But actually, if he goes down there, it's probably a penalty, isn't it? So, different day to win the game. Look at Firmino's miss, the header on the back post from the corner as well. It's got an open goal, basically. So, different day to win the game 2-3-0. No one says anything. The problem was I didn't put the ball in the net. That's it. Last week, the last away game, they got 7 from 8 shots. They used up all their luck in that one, I guess. Mabentum, I think I've just done yours. Pete Haley, score predictions for the Cup semi. Can Brentford go all the way up the Bs? Have a good one. Brentford can definitely beat Tottenham. I don't know about beating Man City or Man United at Wembley. Depends as on when it comes around, I guess. It's miles away. Can Brentford beat Tottenham next Tuesday? Yes, definitely. The Fulham postponement is good news from that perspective for Tottenham, in the sense that, okay, there's a little bit of a break here from a competitive game. So with that in mind, and Tottenham's play Marine in the FA Cup third round 5 days after Brentford, it's a further 3 days to Villa. The Marine team will obviously, that will be a heavy rotation. Imagine if Harry Kane plays in that one. Tottenham, I would have thought, will go very nearly full strength against Brentford. So we'd have to be favourites, but they will definitely give us a game. Can Brentford beat us? Yeah, sure, absolutely. I will be nervous for it. I'm not going to lie, I will be nervous about that game. Adrash says this will be the last one because we've just gone over an hour, guys, and I'm aware for the audio guys in terms of deadline for tomorrow and getting it in their ears before that comes around. So Adrash says triple up on City defence. Already have Diaz and plan to get Cancelo and Stones in. Too much. Fixtures are too good after Chelsea. I don't hate that at all. I really don't hate that at all. Don't be surprised if someone else you know ends up going down that route. I wouldn't rule out going down that route. I've gone triple Liverpool before. What's triple City? All right, you got to suffer the rotation. You need to have defensive players on the bench who are going to play. That's it. That's the important caveat to that. I wouldn't rule out that I take that path as well. All right, guys, thanks very much. Just gone 9 o'clock UK time on New Year's Eve. For those already enjoying 2021, Happy New Year. For those on the audio, Happy New Year. I hope you had a lovely evening. For those on the stream, thank you for joining me. Enjoy your night. Drink safely, responsibly. Social distance responsibly. Be nice to each other. It's a new year. Can we all just bloody be nice to each other for a change? Good luck for the game week. My deadline stream will be at 3 o'clock UK time on YouTube on Friday. Other than that, for the benefit of those listening on the audio, Happy New Year. Ciao for now. Cue music, please, man child.